Connie and her grandmother. Connie was very excited because her grandmother was coming to visit.
Hello, Connie, my dear. Now, aren't you going to give me a nice kiss to say hello?
Of course I'll give you a kiss, Grandma. I love you.
Now, how about a nice walk in the countryside?
Oh, yes, Grandma.
Connie jumped up and down with excitement. Her mum and dad were very happy. They knew that Connie was going to learn a lot on her walk because her grandma was a very, very wise cow. Connie and her grandma had been strolling through the meadows for quite a while, and suddenly they saw a flock of beautiful birds come flying by. Connie was very curious about the birds. She asked her grandma where they were from.
Those birds come from somewhere very cold, Connie.
Grandma said they came every spring.
That's because the spring is so lovely here.
Connie and her grandma strolled on through the meadow. And then they saw two birds sitting in a tree, so they stopped to have a look.
Grandma, why did that bird pick up a twig? Do you think she's going to eat it for her dinner?
Oh, no, birds don't eat twigs, Connie.
Don't they? So what does she want it for, Grandma?
Let's see where she's going. Maybe we'll find out.
Connie and her grandma followed the bird to its nest.
See, Connie, birds collect twigs so that they can build their nests with them.
Do they? Well, that's amazing. I always thought that nests grew in the treetops all by themselves.
A busy little ant carrying a leaf passed by right under Connie's nose.
Oh!
Connie was curious to know what the ant wanted the leaf for, so she decided to follow it. And Grandma followed Connie.
Look, Grandma, the ants are collecting leaves to build their nest too.
No, Connie, they're not using the leaves to build their nest. They're putting the leaves in their underground store so that when winter comes, they'll have plenty of food.
Wow! Ah!
And while the busy little ants were collecting leaves, Connie and her grandma watched happily.
Help me! Help me!
Oh!
Connie and her grandma heard the fish shouting and ran to see what was the matter.
Help!
Hello, Mr. Fish. What's
The
wrong?
river's stopped. The water isn't flowing and I don't know why not.
Grandma had to look and soon saw what was wrong.
Oh.
What?
There's a great big tree trunk blocking the river. Don't worry, my fishy friend. We'll have that trunk out of the way in no time.
Thank you.
We'll use our noses to push the trunk off.
Grandma, I'm going to go and push the trunk from the other side.
Connie, be careful. Come back to the bank or you'll fall in.
Oh, Grandma, I don't like this one bit. Grandma!
I'm coming, Connie. I'm coming.
Grandma saw Connie go flying through the air towards some bushes where she would have a nice soft landing.
Oh yes, Grandma, you were quite right. If you're going to cross a river, you have to be very, very careful.
Connie and her grandma were very happy because together they had helped the fish. He was jumping for joy.
Oh, thank you for helping me. You're so wonderful. You really are.
Connie and her grandma were having such fun that they didn't notice night had fallen.
It's very late, so we ought to be heading home.
How do we find our way back?
It couldn't be easier. All we have to do is keep walking in the direction of that bright star.
Connie looked at the star. It was shining very brightly.
And how do you know that that star will show us the way home, Grandma?
Because that star is the pole star. It shows us which way is north, and your house is to the north.
Wow, that's great. We can follow the star all the way home.
Grandma was right. They were back at Connie's house in no time. Connie thought about all the things she had learned from her grandma.
Thank you for taking me out, Grandma. I had a wonderful time. I love you very much.
Grandma looked at Connie happily, thinking that one day she would grow up to be a very wise cow, although it might take a bit of time. Sweet dreams, Connie.